Hello and welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Well, it finally happened. We have reached the third Marvel movie for the year 2023. Although this will be the final Marvel movie to come out this year, so there is something right there, and that is basically from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yes, in case you all are probably wondering, this year we had three Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and of course, right out of the gate, you already know what the third one's gonna be. So you had Ant-Man: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and of course, the third Marvel film to come out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the year 2023 will be The Marvels. So yes, right out of the gate, I'm gonna talk about The Marvels. The Marvels is a 2023 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics, featuring the characters of Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. And the film itself is produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to the film Captain Marvel, which came out in 2019. It is also a continuation of the television miniseries Miss Marvel and the 33rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film was directed by Nia DaCosta, who co-wrote the screenplay with Megan McDonnell and Elisa Karasik. The movie stars Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Tiona Paris as Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, alongside Zawe Ashton, Gary Lewis, Park Seo Joon, and Samuel Jackson, among many other cast members. And of course, um, Brie Larson plays Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Tiona Paris plays Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani plays Kamala Khan, otherwise known as Ms. Marvel. And we all probably wonder what the plot is. In the film, Danvers, Rambeau, and Khan team up after they begin swapping places with each other every time they use their powers. And that's it. That's basically the synopsis, I should say. This is like the synopsis of the film. Now, in my opinion, like for the Marvels, like I actually went to see this movie a couple of days ago, so in my overall thoughts of it, like the movie feels like Charlie's Angels with a little bit of Freaky Friday to it. And the reason why I'm saying a little bit of Freaky Friday, because you know how in Freaky Friday, you know how like of how the mother is inside the daughter's body for one day, then the daughter is inside the mother's body for one day, like they changed like places, they changed like their own personalities, I should say, like what is it like to be in that other person's body. That's kind of similar to what's going on in the Marvels, just a little bit. However, the only difference is that they're switching places, like how Kamala Khan like ends up in space. Carol Danvers ends up in Kamala Khan's room, and then Monica Rambeau ends up on the planet where Carol Danvers was at. I'm pretty sure it was like a moon planet where where this bracelet that Kamala Khan had in the TV show. That's kind of like what's going. That's like the whole idea of it. That's the whole idea of it in my point of view. Now, to be honest, I went into this movie with very low expectations because for what was going on with this movie had a troubled production. Like the movie was delayed multiple times. There were multiple reshoots on this movie, and then on top of that, the whole direction of where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going. Like this is the third film in Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For what I'm hearing right now, there are polarizing responses to the there are polarizing responses to this movie. And to me, honestly, I'm like mixed. I am mixed. I am mixed on this movie. Like I had fun with this movie, but also at the same time, I'm like, what? Like, what is this? What am I watching? If you know what I'm saying, like what? Okay, so basically, let me backtrack for a second. Like, Phase 5 started off with Ant-Man Quantumania, and it started off on a very low note, where you know how Ant-Man killed King the Conqueror, the real deal, who's supposed to be the main bad guy for a new threat to the Avengers, which was thrown out of the picture. Now we got different variants of King the Conquerors, and then you got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which in my opinion is actually the best movie to come out of Phase 5 so far. And now and that movie actually ended on a good note for the trilogy itself. So the Guardians of the Galaxy have already got their trilogy done. Now with the Marvels is the third movie to come out of Phase 5, and it's polarizing enough. So what makes this movie so polarizing? Like what made this movie so polarizing, not just for me but for everybody else, because I'm hearing different responses. Like, some people said they like it, which, hey, that's totally fine. I understand that. And then there's other people who did not like it. I mean, let's be honest, like, this movie, the Marvels, there is a lot going on in this movie, especially in a short runtime. The runtime of this movie is 105 minutes, which is 1 hour and 45 minutes, and that's a pretty short Marvel movie to say. I mean, it's not the first time Marvel had a short runtime for a Marvel film. Although for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you could definitely, I could definitely see that. I mean, and to be fair though, to the film's credits, at least the runtime is shorter compared to the other previous movies. That's not to say I don't like longer runtimes. I mean, I appreciate the longer runtimes, but seeing shorter runtimes, I mean, it's not bad. That's if you use the short runtime right, if you know what I'm saying. Also, the film's budget for the film's budget is over $200 million, but and not just $200 million straight. Like, the net the net budget is $219.8 million, while the gross budget, and I am not making this up, the gross budget is $274.8 million. Let me say that again for the net and gross budget: $219.8 million and $274.8 million. That is almost close to $300 million. The gross budget is close to $300 million, and it's obviously one of the most expensive Marvel movies to make. For a team up movie, like, this is the Marvels is basically a team up film. I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, other team up movies like all the Avengers movies. Heck, Avengers Age of Ultron has the most expensive budget. The gross budget for Avengers Age of Ultron was $444 to $495.2 million. That is close to a $500 million budget. Avengers Age of Ultron almost cost $500 million to make for a gross budget. However, for its net budget, it was $365 million. So Avengers Age of Ultron holds the record for the biggest budget in not just any Marvel movie, but in any superhero film adaptation. That is wild. And the budget from the Marvels was almost $300 million. The reason why the budget for the Marvels was this high almost $300 million because the film was delayed multiple times and it was also reshot multiple times. And so there's like your answer right there. Like once the film has been delayed multiple times, it adds to the budget. Plus the amount of reshoots. So I don't know how many reshoots that I don't know how many reshoots this film went through. Like it's hard to tell right now. It's really hard to tell, to be honest. But with the reshoots and the amount of delays, it adds to the budget. Sure, some of the early Marvel movies, I mean, yeah, they were expensive to make, but their budgets were a lot lower than most superhero movies that we got today. In fact, the very first X-Men movie, their budget was $75 million, while the first Blade movie, which Wesley Snipes Blade, their budget for their budget for that movie, Wesley Snipes Blade, was $45 million, and that's like I said, that's not cheap. That's not cheap. Like I said, Like I said, those budgets are expensive, but their budgets were lower than most superhero movies that we got today. In fact, going to uh going to the early 2000s for a sec, the first Spider-Man movie, the first Spider-Man movie, with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi, their budget for that movie, it's expensive, but not as expensive, but not as expensive. It was expensive. Their budget for that movie was $139 million. So that's a lot more. So that's a lot more, but not like, but not that huge. Like, let's just say, let me go back to Avengers: Age of Ultron for a sec. Their gross budget was almost $500 million, and their net budget was at least $300 million. The first Spider-Man's budget was $139 million, while Blade's budget was at least 40 million, and the first X-Men movie was at least 70 million. So you kind of get the point. You get the point. But the but as for the first Captain Marvel, let me go to that. That budget for the first Captain Marvel movie, that was between 152 to 175 million dollars. And I mean, that's a big budget too, but that was also a cheap movie to make compared to the Marvels. And before I break down this movie, I did mention polarizing reviews because the film did receive mixed reviews from critics who praised DaCosta's direction and the chemistry between the three leads. Now, to be and but of course the plot was criticized and there was a lack of cohesive storytelling. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there was barely any storytelling in this movie, in my personal opinion. Yes, there is a story, but it lacks the cohesive storytelling of what we saw from the previous Marvel movies from before. And of course, obviously, this is basically outside of Phase 4 and 5, because Phase 4, I mean, say what you will about Phase 4. I mean, there are some good movies from Phase 4, but some of the movies from Phase 4 did not go anywhere. And Phase 5's storytelling is not that great, to say the least, in my personal opinion. I mean, you could debate about that all you want, but to me, the storytelling is lacking, and the Marvels is no exception. So let me break down the movie for the Marvels. And by the way, huge spoiler warning for those of you who have not seen the movie. Huge spoilers ahead. Movie opens up with a new Kree leader named Darben, who is being played by Zawi Ashton. And fun fact, Zawi Ashton is the fiance to Tom Hiddleston, to which Tom Hiddleston played Loki. And hey, how about that? An engaged couple appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That sounds pretty good. So anyway, Darben, who is a new Kree leader, retrieves one half of the quantum bands to which Kamala Khan had, because if you remember in the TV show Miss Marvel, I mean, I've seen Miss Marvel. I mean, in my opinion, I didn't really care much about. I didn't really care for much about Miss Marvel, the TV show in general. I like the actress playing Kamala Khan. She's fine, but I didn't really care much about the show. But anyway, Kamala Khan has one of the quantum bands in the show. So there's another quantum band. So it's the other half of the band, and that was in the hands of Dar-Ben. So Dar-Ben harnesses the power of the band, pairs it with her staff named the Universal Weapon, although it's basically a warhammer that Dar-Ben has in her hands. It's a similar warhammer that Ronan the Accuser had in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then of course in Captain Marvel, because Ronan the Accuser made an appearance in the first Captain Marvel movie. Dar-Ben uses it to tear apart a jump point in space. Now, going into this movie, Dar-Ben's entrance is very rushed and abrupt, with very little built up. And y'all are probably wondering, like, who Dar-Ben is. Like, I already said, Dar-Ben is the leader of the Kree, but in all honesty, though, Dar-Ben, like, the villain Dar-Ben is definitely not a great villain. It's not a good villain in this movie at all. I don't even know who Dar-Ben is at one point. Like, actually, to be honest, the Dar-Ben from the comics, he's basically a pink Kree general who used a robot of the Silver Surfer to execute clumsy Falup and General Dwi Zan during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. And he was killed by Deathbird during the Kree Shi'ar War. And that's basically, yeah, that's basically Dar-Ben. So in this movie, Dar-Ben is a gender swap Kree. So basically, Marvel went out of their way to gender swap Dar-Ben, and the movie starts off pretty poorly, in my opinion. Like, you have a villain introduction who starts off abruptly and rushed with no build up. Plus, this is a villain that Dar-Ben is a villain that nobody even knows who this villain is. Like, this is how the film opens up. And here's the thing, like, now the actress playing Dar-Ben, I mean, to her credit, she does a good job from what she was given. To her credit, she does a pretty good job. But this character, in my opinion, like, this is an unknown villain that we as an audience never heard of. Now the movie keeps on going with an introduction to Monica Rambeau, who is being played by Tiona Paris, and she is working for a company called SWORD, although that is an acronym, stand for Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division, to which the acronym is SWORD. And this is a company, an intelligence agency that was founded by Maria Rambeau, who is the mother to Monica Rambeau. So there's a little connection right there. And of course, Monica Rambeau teams up with Nick Fury, being played by Samuel L. Jackson once more, who is now residing at the Saber space station. And of course, the acronym for Saber is Strategic Aerospace Biophysics and Exolinguistic Response. And that is basically a human scroll aerospace defense system that is spearheaded by Nick Fury. Nick Fury is hosting a peace talk event between the Kree and Skrull Empire, and this is basically also connecting to the Kree and Skrull war that is still going on. And plus, that was also that was also one of the main comic book storylines, which is the Kree and Skrull war, because the Kree and the Skrulls are rivals. They're basically enemies of each other. Or rivals, I should say. And they do play a part in the first Captain Marvel movie, where the first movie ended with the Skrulls being the good guys, and for what I'm hearing, that the Krees were actually the villains. But on top of that, I mean, it's obviously the writing of this movie. Obviously, it's the writing of both of these movies. So basically, this whole thing's still going on, and Fury calls in Carol Danvers, being played once again by Brie Larson. He calls Carol Danvers and, of course, Monica Rambeau to investigate a jump point anomaly near Saber. So so Monica Rambeau goes to check it out. She touches it, and Danvers, and Kamala switch places through teleportation. Okay, so just to give you some context. Now, I've seen Miss Marvel. I mean, I didn't really care much about the show, but in the show's finale called No Normal, a mid credit scene showed Kamala Khan and her idol Carol Danvers swap places after the former's bangle emits a strange glow. So what's really happening, like Kamala Khan, who's being played by Iman Vellani, like her bangle starts to glow, and this and once Monica touches like the touches the jump point anomaly, all three women switch places. So what happens is Carol Danvers ends up in Kamala Khan's house. Kamala Khan floats in space like she's Sandra Bullock from Gravity. Kamala is screaming so loud, although she's in space. I mean, space, no one can hear you except for Nick Fury, who hears Kamala Khan screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" Because she's screaming as she's never been to space, which is obviously true. Which is obviously true because she's a kid, but but the fact is, like, she's surprised of what's going on because she was teleported from her house into space, and Nick Fury was like, "What the hell is going on? Who the hell is this girl?" Like, he's wondering he's wondering who's floating in space. It's not Monica because Monica got teleported somewhere else, which I'm pretty sure is the moon of where Carol Danvers was at. And once Nick sees Kamala in space, Kamala's like, "Oh my goodness, Nick Fury! Is this an Avengers test or something?" And Nick Fury is like, "Hell no, I don't think so." And and Monica Rambeau ends up what appears to be the moon, like what appears to be the moon, because Carol Danvers was flying towards the moon to check it out, only to be ambushed by a bunch of Kree members who calls Carol Danvers the Annihilator, because it turns out that Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, annihilated Hala, which is the Kree planet that was introduced in the first Captain Marvel movie. And of course, to add in more context to that, why was Hala destroyed or decimated? It turns out like Carol Danvers went back to Hala and took out and destroyed the Supreme Intelligence, who was introduced in the first Captain Marvel movie. Like she takes out the Supreme Intelligence, and to which the Supreme Intelligence is basically which is basically a fictional character appearing in the Marvel comics. The Supreme Intelligence is an artificial intelligence, or AI, that rules the alien race, which is the Kree. And the Supreme Intelligence is destroyed. We only see a few seconds of a full on the Supreme Intelligence face, and the Supreme Intelligence gets destroyed in 3 seconds. We only see 3 seconds of the Supreme Intelligence, and that's basically it. And the entire planet gets decimated, destroyed by Carol Danvers. And for those of you who are probably wondering, well, didn't the Supreme Intelligence appear in the first Captain Marvel movie? Well, yes. Although we don't really see the face of the Supreme Intelligence. We only see the Supreme Intelligence through different perspectives of different characters. like Carol Danvers sees the Supreme Intelligence from one of her mentors from Earth, which is basically Wendy Lawson, and basically Wendy Lawson's like the Supreme Intelligence from Carol Danvers' point of view. And there's even a deleted scene where Jude Law's character, Jan Rog, sees the Supreme Intelligence from his point of view, but it's his other doppelganger. So this does raise eyebrows. Why didn't we see the actual face of the Supreme Intelligence in the first movie? And why didn't we see that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's how AI works. But but anyway, during the whole teleportation sequence, like like Carol Danvers is inside Kamala Khan's house, and she sees drawings and pictures of Kamala Khan, fan art, which is basically fan art of Kamala Khan and Carol Danvers being a team. I mean, that's pretty cute and all, but Carol Danvers found it to be pretty creepy for a sec, and she's like, okay. And then she goes downstairs and meets up with Kamala Khan's parents. I mean, it's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking too. And she tries to leave, only for Kamala Khan to appear to come back to come back to teleport back to the house. And basically, Kamala Khan's parents were like, "What were you doing? Is this Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers giving peer pressuring you?" And and for a moment, Kamala Khan is basically she's geeking out during this whole confrontation because she just realized that her parents just met Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and she's like, I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I'm pretty sure you can also tell that Iman Vellani is having a lot of fun with this role. I mean, let's be honest, like for all the movie's faults, like Iman Vellani was obviously one of the best parts of this movie. Like, yeah, she's yeah, I mean, sure, yes, she's still new to the acting role, and of course, I mean, she can go a little bit over the top at times with her act. I mean, she gets too excited for some parts of the movie, but at the same time, I mean, she's having a lot of fun. You can definitely tell that Iman Vellani is having a lot of fun with this movie and her role as Miss Marvel. And of course Kamala Khan or Kamala Khan. I mean whatever how you say her name, Kamala or Kamala. I mean whatever how you I mean however I mean doesn't matter how you say her name, Kamala. I mean yeah, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, things do get a little crazy when the Kree started to fight all three different versions of the Marvels, and it's a messed up action sequence, but for the most part, like this all happens like it starts off at this moon, and then it teleports to Kamala Khan's house, where we see Carol Danvers back at the house, and the Kree are fighting Kamala's parents, and one of the Kree members comes up to Carol Danvers and calls her the Annihilator, and Carol is like, I don't like that name, and she fights them, and she starts fighting, and I will say this: for the most part, the action sequence is good for the most part, but it gets ruined, man. Like, I'm sorry. This whole action sequence is ruined for me. Like, how is this ruined? Not the actors. All the actors do a very good job. Not just the editing. I mean, the editing can be a little choppy, but the music. To me, is what the music ruins this action sequence for me. Why is the music bad in this scene? Well, because for some reason, somebody over at Marvel or at Disney thought it would be a good idea to add in a hip hop or rap music in the background. It's basically rat ta 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 rat ta 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 ta. I mean, what? What? What kind of music is that? I mean, like Marvel, their action sequences are good because of the music. Like the music adds a good levity and tension, and it hypes up the action sequence too. Like remember in the first Iron Man movie where Tony Stark escapes the cave in Afghanistan? Dun 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 dun. See that? Like that is good music. It's rock and roll music, but at the same time, it gives that bit of tension and levity to it. This scene, but this action sequence, their first teleportation fight from the house to the Kree spaceship with the rat ta 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 ta, that music. I'm sorry, like that was a poor choice of music. Like that is some poor choice of music. Like oh my goodness! Like I could probably put in a better song for a two. Heck, if you want to make an instrumental version of this, I mean, it could have worked. I mean, you could still make an instrumental version for a good action sequence, and it probably would have worked. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm pretty sure the production crew didn't have enough time to put in music for it, and they decided to throw in a last minute rat tat tat music into this scene. That's what ruined the scene for me. That's what ruined the action sequence for me. That's just me. That's just me. I'm pretty sure other people are probably gonna say something similar. I mean, obviously, if you take the music out of the equation, it's still. I mean, it's a the action sequence is still fine, but to me, in my opinion, the music really ruined it for me. So anyway, moving forward, the sequence does keep on going where Kamala sees Nick Fury again, and actually even before that, when she was floating in space, like she sees Nick Fury and is just like, oh Nick Fury, is this an Avengers test? And then when she comes to see, and when she teleports to see Nick Fury again, she's like, hi. Well, in response to Nick Fury saying, some of your friends, and she was like, hi. Well, that's not the type of response I probably would have said, but hey, I mean, it's Kamala Khan. And of course, Nick Fury misses the shot on shooting down the Kree members, and Kamala Khan uses her powers to stop some of the Kree members. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this action sequence is something. So anyway, the Khan's house gets destroyed in the wake of the attack, and Nick Fury, Monica Rambeau visit Earth to see Kamala, and of course, the entire destruction of the house. I wouldn't say, well, I would say the inside of the house. The inside of the house got destroyed. I mean, the outside of the house is actually decent, but but yeah, that was a messed up fight. So basically, Kamala's parents, Nick Fury and Monica Rambeau, talk about what happened. Kamala eagerly demonstrates her powers and she switched places with Danvers, and Danvers is like, oh, not again. And, and Danvers is like, oh, I'm back in this house. Oh, I'm back in this house, and oh my goodness, if it isn't Monica Rambeau, Lieutenant Trouble. And yes, in case you are wondering, Monica Rambeau's code name in the first Captain Marvel movie was Lieutenant Trouble because in the first Captain Marvel movie, Carol Danvers and Maria Rambeau, Carol Danvers and Maria Rambeau were very good friends. They were very good friends, and they both of them were trained in the military as well, and there were and of course Maria had a daughter. Maria's daughter Monica was called Lieutenant Trouble, and which is which is a very cute name because because Carol Danvers and the Rambeaus formed a very good friendship in that movie, and of course we Monica sees Carol Danvers or Auntie Carol for the first time in forever. Fortunately, it does cut short because it does cut a little short when Danvers when it does cut a little short when Danvers flies away and switches places with Kamala in mid-air. So basically, they had to do a switch up mid-air, and Kamala is falling to her supposed demise. But thankfully, she gets rescued. So that's still good. That's good. The group surmises that the light-based powers of Danvers, Rambo, and Kamala are linked through quantum entanglement, and that they switch places when any of them use their powers. Okay, so the idea behind it, having all three Marvels switch places because of their powers. I mean, that's not a bad idea. That's a very that and it's very interesting too because it does show that hey, Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan have their own powers. Their connection and entanglement is basically an issue that happens. So the only thing to so basically that's something that I actually like realize like you're realizing that all three Marvels are switching places because of their powers. So you're probably wondering, okay, why is this happening? How why is this happening? Well, why is this happening? Because of this portal and teleportation. That's probably one of the reasons why this is all happening. So anyway, the three join up at a Skrull refugee colony on planet Tarnax, where there's a conversation of where talks of resettlements have dissolved, and because Darben rips open another jump point, which siphons the atmosphere of Tarnax into Hala to try and restore its air. And of course, this is where Darben is trying to. What this is obviously Darben's motivation. Darben is trying to rebuild Hala from different locations, and of course, Tarnax is one of the planets that she's using. Air, trying to get air into Hala. And then of course, all the Skrulls are trying to evacuate. After a hasty effort to evacuate the colony, like Danvers, Rambo, and Kamala were able to get most of the Skrulls to safety, but unfortunately, I think some of them did not last. Some of them did not last long during the whole destruction. So anyway, you're all probably wondering what happened to the Skrulls who were rescued. Well, it turns out Carol Danvers reached out to Valkyrie, who to she reached out to Valkyrie, who's being played by Tessa Thompson, and she takes the remaining Skrulls to I'm pretty sure is New Asgard or maybe a different colony or something, and then that's basically it. We don't see the Skrulls. We don't see the Skrulls for the rest of the movie at this point. So Danvers, Rambo, and Kamala are basically they're basically on the ship. They're basically all alone on the ship. So they're trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What we're gonna do? What we're gonna do with the powers that we had despite switching places? What should we do? Well, it turns out Kamala decides to form a team called the Marvels because obviously that is something because you got Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and then obviously just Monica Rambeau, who is also known as Captain Marvel too. Although she had different names in the comics too, like Photon, Pulsar, and Spectrum, but also Captain Marvel as well. So anyway, Carol Danvers informs the others of the legend that the quantum bands have been used to create the jump point transportation network, to which the three became entangled due to their mutual contact with this energy when Darban disrupted it. So basically, Darben's got the other band, and and basically Kamala's band has connections to the other band that Darban has. So Darban's repeated rupturing of jump points is causing further instability to the network and endangering the universe. And so this gets an idea from Carol Danvers to like, hey, let's go to this planet, let's go to this other planet, let's go to this planet of Aladna, to have the citizens fight off like Darban and to distract Darban and the Kree. And of course Kamala Khan has this quote from says, and then of course Kamala Khan says this quote: "We have our heading," and I'm just like, really, really, you're trying to pull off a Johnny Depp Captain Jack Sparrow quote? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh man, is Marvel trying to take a jab at Johnny Depp? Oh man, come on, Marvel. Come on, Marvel. Don't do Johnny Depp like that. Don't do Pirates of the Caribbean like that. Oh. I can't put. Can't. I mean, I'm pretty sure the director probably told Iman Vellani to say that probably. I'm pretty, or unless that was improvised, unless she improvised it. I don't really know, to say the least. But anyway, before Danvers, Rambeau, and Kamala travel to this planet of Atlanta, um, Kamala's parents are basically up in Nick Fury's place, which is Saber, and obviously for now, Kamala's parents are safe, but Kamala's mom is worried too. Like she's worried if if Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers does anything bad to her daughter, which I'm referring to Kamala Khan. Um, she was gonna like she was gonna kill Carol Danvers. Like Kamala's mom tells Kamala that if Carol Danvers does anything bad to Kamala, she will get a good beating. And I'm like, whoa, okay, Kamala Khan's mom, let's not get too crazy. Khan! Oh my goodness. Oh man, every time I keep hearing Khan, I'm thinking of Khan from Star Trek, if you know what I'm saying. Kamala hangs up with her mom, and Carol Danvers was like, "What did your mom say?" And Kamala's like, "Oh, nothing to say. No, oh no, nothing. She's just making sure we're all doing fine." Except for that last part that her mom said. But anyway, moving forward, uh, anyway, as the three Marvels are traveling to this planet, they all three of them tested out their teleportation powers. So basically, how they're basically playing around with it, and for the most part, it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. I think this is one of the few moments that I actually liked, where Kamala Khan, Carol Danvers, and Monica Rambeau are playing around with their powers just to see how the teleportation works, and it does work very well. Whereas through jump roping, putting books on their heads, and then there are probably a couple of other activities they're doing, and for the most part, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good move. That's a pretty. There was also another scene later where Monica and Carol were talking about Maria. We're talking about Maria Rambeau, because Maria Rambeau died of cancer when she was one of the main leads for the intelligence agency of Sword. And Monica is upset about it. Like, why didn't why didn't Carol return? Like, what was the whole point of that? But of course, we also know that Monica was also involved with the blip, which is basically the wiping out half of existence from Thanos. But but during that time, like Monica's mom died of cancer, and she was like, "Why didn't Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, return? Why wasn't the point?" Because one of the, I think, one, I mean, I don't really remember exactly, but like this does fill in. But because the thing was, like Carol and Maria were very good friends, and and one of the one and Monica was basically like Monica and Maria were Carol's family during this whole Captain during the first Captain Marvel movie, and Monica is upset, wondering like, why didn't you come back, Carol? Like, what happened? My like her mom died of cancer. And this was like during the events of the WandaVision TV show that appeared on Disney Plus, and that was also when Monica Rambeau was also becoming the next becoming like another Captain Marvel, especially when it comes to like gaining her powers, especially going through that teleportation into Westview, which is basically the town that the Scarlet Witch created. The Marvels reached to this planet called Aladna, and I am not gonna lie, this was another moment that got me to say what. This was another moment that got me to say what the, because this planet is actually a musical planet. I'm not making this up. I mean, words do not describe this moment. I mean, because this planet is basically all spoken through singing. Like all of the citizens of this planet, they speak through their language is song. So they're basically singing, "Hello, welcome to this planet. Hello, welcome to this planet. What is your name? We want to welcome you to this planet." So and it's crazy too, because I'm like, what? Did Marvel turn into a musical at one point? I mean, in Captain America, in Captain America: The First Avenger, it was a musical for for a moment with Captain America's own theme song, and then you got Rogers the musical and Hawkeye. Now this, you get a planet where their language is song, and and for the most part, I mean, got me rolling like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But anyway, Carol Danvers told Monica and Kamala just to roll with it, and for the moment, this is basically a musical number, and it also turns out that Carol is basically popular on this planet too, because it turns out that Carol is engaged to this prince on the planet, and that's one of the reasons why Carol Danvers is very popular. Like the name of the prince is Prince Yan, who is being played by Park Seo Joon, and Prince Yan is a charisma is a charisma he's a charismatic prince of the planet Aladna, who is Danvers' husband and ally. And I don't know much about this guy. I mean, I don't really know much about this guy, but for what I know, he and Carol Danvers are basically a couple, and they're both allies as well. I mean, yeah, and the two also have a musical number as well, and a dance sequence too. This is like a musical number and a dance sequence at the same time. And at one point in the trailer, I saw this in the trailers, and I thought it was something, and I thought it was on Earth because I thought this whole dance and musical number was on Earth, but no, this is a different planet altogether, altogether. And for what's happening and for what's going on at that moment is that Carol and the prince are basically reconnecting with each other through song. And for Brie Larson, she's a very good singer. I will say this, like she could pull off some good singing chops too. And from my memory's perspective, she is a singer as well. She's not just an actor, but a singer too. So props to her. Props to her. She could definitely pull off some singing chops too. And and while on the subject of Brie Larson, I think Brie Larson. I mean, I know everybody. I know everybody points fingers at Brie Larson a lot, but I say this movie I say Brie Larson gives a little more personality in this movie compared to the first movie, in my opinion. Because if you really think about it, like in the first movie, she's just serious in the first movie. Even though yeah, there's a few moments where she can be happy, she could be happy and be fun. But in this movie, she's got different personalities all over the place. Dang, like like Brie Larson definitely brought in more personalities to her character compared to the first movie. And and I give her credit for that. For I give her credit for that. But anyway, but anyway, Carol and the prince basically speak normal because it turns out the prince is bilingual, so which is basically speaking in different languages, whether it's basically English, Spanish, or heck, for this movie, English and music. But Carol tells the prince that Darben is coming for us, and we need a distraction. We need a distraction. So so anyway, this plan comes in, and Darban reaches the planet of Vladna, where she tears open another jump point to draw the ocean water into Hala. So air and water. Where's Earth? And what's next? Fire? Is this Avatar: The Last Airbender? Oh my goodness, this movie can't get crazier than this. But unfortunately, it does. I'll get to that pretty soon because I'll get to that soon. So basically, the citizens of Aladna fight the Kree army, and then of course we get another fight. We get a fight between the Marvels and Darben. I will say this: their fights, the fights between Darben and the Marvels are good too. Like their fight scenes are pretty good in my opinion. I mean, sure, they're not as great as some of the most previous fight scenes from the early Marvel movies, but still, it's still pretty good. It's still a solid fight. It's still a solid fight. But unfortunately, the fight does cut pretty short. The fight does cut pretty short once the whole teleportation of the ocean water is basically being stoned, and then of course Kamala Khan's band being taken away, and then of course, but then of course it's then of course then of course all the Marvels try to escape, and they landed on this field of reeds to have a quick emotional conversation of why they failed to stop Darben. But that moment gets cut short for an attack in space where the Kree army attacks Nick Fury's Nick Fury's uh, base, which is basically the Saber base, and everybody on board, and then everybody on board is freaking out. And oh, did I mention that Goose is in this movie? Yeah, Goose is in this movie. I completely forgot that Goose is in this movie. Remember when people were excited about Goose in the first Captain Marvel movie? Yeah, I remember that because Goose was obviously one of the best parts of that movie. This one, on the other hand, Goose is pretty forgettable in this movie, and it turns out Goose Goose is a mom. Goose has baby Flurkins. I am not kidding. Goose is a mom with baby flurkins, which is basically baby kittens, and they're all flurkins. They're all flurkins. And of course, during this whole evacuation, the baby kittens eat everybody on that base for safety and to escape the Saber base from the Kree attack while while the song Memory from Cats is playing in the background. My goodness. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the rest of this episode, but oh my goodness, yes, yes. Goose and the baby Flurkins save everybody on the base from being exploded, and they all go back to Earth, and they just vomit out all the victims and survivors from the base back onto Earth. Like, how messed up is that sequence? Oh, how messed up is that? Words do not describe how ridiculous the idea of it all. Sure, it's cute that we got to see Goose and the baby kittens, but this is the moment where I'm just done, just done with this movie. Like, I can just end the review right here and now, but no, I can't do that because I gotta get to the rest of the movie. Yeah. So after that space catastrophe, the Marvels have their final battle with Darben, and it's still a pretty cool battle, but I don't even care at this moment because one of the final blows is from one of the final blows is that Darben gets hit in the back of the wall with some debris, and one of the shards lands inside of her heart, and then Darben tries to play victim for a little bit. Tell her that listen. I want to bring in I want to rebuild Hala. I need this band. Listen, I was there when it all happened. And listen, if we work together to build Hala, then we could be buddies. And for at one point, Carol seems to agree, but no, it was just a cop out. And what comes next for Darben after that cop out? She takes Kamala's band. Now Darben's got both bands, and she and Danvers use their combined. And what comes next? And is that what comes next is that she uses the band to tear apart another hole in space. They're basically up in space, and the effort in doing that destroys Darben and leaves behind an opening into the multiverse. So yes, Darben gets destroyed by the power she sought. What a useless villain. And of course, after Kamala reclaims the bands, she and Danvers uses their combined powers to energize Rambeau, allowing her to close the hole from the other side. So basically, Monica Rambeau closes the hole from the other side, but she gets stranded in the process. And Carol and Kamala were surprised, but also upset, knowing the fact that they lost Monica. They fly, and of course, Kamala comes back home to Earth, tells her parents that Monica is gone. Carol Danvers flies into Hala's sun like she's Icarus from the Eternals. Can't believe I'm saying this. And of course, Carol Danvers comes out fine from the sun, and she uses the sun's powers to restore it. She's not Doc Ock, folks. This is not Doc Ock. Oh my goodness, you're literally giving Doc Ock a run for his money or mechanical claws. But anyway, but also that's probably one of but I'm pretty sure the sun was also used. I'm pretty sure the sun I'm pretty sure Darth Banner's trying to use his son for Valhalla as well. But no, Carol Danvers to uses the sun for uses the sun for Hala. And then of course she uses her power and of course the sun to restore it for Hala. And basically Hala is back to normal. Yay! Yay! And then on top of that, the short-lived team up with Danvers and Rambeau inspires Kamala to seek out other heroes and form a new group. And what does she do? Well, it turns out she goes to see she goes into what appears to be downtown New York. She starts off with Kate Bishop, who is being played by Haley Steinfeld, and Kate Bishop is surprised to see Kamala Khan, like as if she never met Kamala Khan. I mean, let's be honest, Kate has not met Kamala Khan until this moment, and Kamala does this paraphrases what Nick Fury said to Tony Stark at the end of Iron Man, basically introducing the Avengers Initiative, and Kama is like, I'm here to form a superhero team, a young Avengers team, and I want you to be in it. And Kate Bishop was like, okay, and that's where the movie ends until a mid-credit scene where Monica Rambeau wakes up in a parallel universe where she is greeted by an alternate version of her mother, Maria Rambeau. Although this time, Maria Rambeau, her she takes the name Binary, and Maria's suit is basically a red and it's a reddish, brownish, and white superhero suit with a cape. And and some people actually mistaken Maria Rambeau or Binary as Storm because before the movie dropped, there was another trailer that dropped before this movie came out, and many people speculated that it was Storm because in the comics Storm wore a very similar super suit that Maria Rambeau wore in this movie, but that's not the case. That's not the case. It's Maria Rambeau, and who does Maria and Monica end up seeing in this very scene? Well, it turns out the character of Beast. Yes, you heard that right. We get to see the mutant Beast, or should I say Hank McCoy. Hank McCoy, Beast, being played by Kelsey Grammer, and of course, Maria Rambeau is being played by Lashana Lynch, and that got me surprised. Like I'm surprised that we got to see Beast in at the end of this movie, although he's CGI. They literally CGI'd Kelsey Grammer for Beast. And obviously this was supposed to set up for was basically the X-Men, but I'm pretty sure that's something that'll probably happen. I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a connection to Deadpool 3 because Deadpool 3 is also gonna come out in 2024 from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's it. That's the Marvels. And oh my goodness. This movie was crazy. I want to say I had a blast with it, but at the same time, what was that? Where were they going with this movie? Like with all the delays and the reshoots, like this is what we get. We get a we get a crazy movie. And I'm pretty sure some people are gonna have fun with this movie, and that's fine. That's understandable. I mean, if you want to watch this movie, that's totally fine. I get it. But for me, really, I'm like, what is this? Like, there's so much going on in this movie, and at one point, I'm trying to like, and at one point, it feels like it feels like different movies combined into one. Heck, this to me, this feels like Captain Marvel 3 rather than Captain Marvel 2. And yes, the original movie title of the movie was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2, but that was changed to the Marvels because Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel wanted to introduce like Miss Marvel into the picture, knowing the fact that Carol Danvers held the mantle of Miss Marvel in the comics, but Kamala Khan also held the mantle of Miss Marvel too. So they wanted to introduce Kamala Khan, and of course Monica Rambeau was one of the Marvels as well. But unfortunately, this feels like a third. But going back to the third installment, to me, this feels like a third installment. Well, not just because there's three Marvels, which is Monica Rambeau, Carol Danvers, and Kamala Khan, but also the fact that it feels like they jumped over different. They jumped over the whole point of the whole point of the first Captain Marvel movie, where Carol Danvers told Jan Rog that she's coming to end the whole Kree and Skrull war. Like she sends Jan Rog, Jude Law's character, back to Hala to send a message to the Supreme Intelligence. Like I feel like that was missing in that was missing. But it feels like they just jumped over Captain Marvel 2 just to make the Marvels like if it was a third installment. But no, this is the second installment that we're getting for Captain Marvel. Like imagine Captain Marvel 2 taking place in the events of taking place in the events after the first movie where the Skrulls are still finding a safe place, but this whole Kree and Skrull war is happening. But you have Ronan the Accuser leading the charge, and then you still have Korath, who is probably recovering from his injuries, and now recovered as a cyborg. Remember, guys, Korath and Ronan the Accuser appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were both killed off in that movie. We could have seen that in Captain Marvel 2, where Korath is now teaming with Ronan the Accuser. Heck, that would have been a good opportunity to introduce Dar-Ben. Like Dar-Ben is probably, in my opinion, probably one of the worst Marvel villains in this movie. Now, to the actor's credit, Zawi Ashton did a good job of what she was given for that role. Like, despite the writing for her character and what she was given, she still did a decent job. But I'm sorry to say this, but the character of Dar-Ben was not great in my opinion. Like the villain in that one was forgettable in that movie. Like one of the most forgettable villains I have ever seen, and probably one of the most useless villains I have ever seen in any Marvel movie. I, and and of course, and if Dar-Ben was introduced in Captain Marvel 2, which should have been the movie's title, if she was introduced in Captain Marvel 2 with Ronan the Accuser and Korath, I probably would be interested in it. Like that way we could get a little build up to more give a little more build up to how Dar-Ben became the villain for the Marvels. But no, her introduction was abrupt, rushed, and it's not good. It's literally not that good. Like I'm sorry, like the actor did a very good job playing the character, but she did a very good job for what she was given, but the writing for the character was not but for the writing for the character was not there. And besides, all the actors do a very good job as well. Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Tiona Paris did a very good job playing their roles pretty well. They all the actors did a very good job with their roles. And then of course, I mean, despite the ridiculous moments in this movie, like it's very hard to tell where this movie. It's very crazy to tell where this movie was going and the whole idea, process, and story of this, of where they're gonna go. I mean, you could definitely say that it's ridiculous and all, but at the same time, it's fun. Yeah, I could definitely see that, but in my opinion, I would say this: a better story and better writing and better planning would have been better for the Marvels as a sequel, because to me this sequel this sequel was doomed from the start. But what about the direction? Like I say, the direction is all over the place. Like Nia DaCosta, I say for what she was given, she did a decent job, but the direction was all over the place, and it's very hard to tell if it was her, if it was more from the notes that Kevin Feige gave her, or was it her idea? I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige and the Walt Disney Company really had some really had something really had something up their sleeves to literally change this whole movie, in my opinion. But I mean, with Nia DaCosta, I give her credit for trying. I give her credit for trying. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, The Marvels is a flawed movie with some fun, ridiculous moments to spare. And I heard a lot of people said that Iman Vellani, like she was obviously she. I heard a lot of people said Iman Vellani is one of the highlights of this movie, and I will say this: I do agree because Iman Vellani brings a lot of energy to her character of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and I will say this: she does a very good job, despite some moments where she does go and give in a little. She does go a little bit overboard with her performance, but still, you can definitely tell that Iman Vellani is having a lot of fun too in this movie. Like I mean, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, I wish they would have give Samuel L. Jackson a little more for Nick Fury, but I'm pretty sure the Secret Invasions TV show probably did something different with his character, to which I have not seen. But um, but there was probably something that happened to Nick Fury from Secret Invasion that led up to the Marvels, and then and then everybody else did a fine job too. Brie Larson did okay with her role of Captain Marvel as well. I mean, she gave a little more personality to her character compared to the first movie, but 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 even she had her own fair share of problems too. Like I think it's her like I think it's like her arguments between like the film on set and of course the studio heads as well, especially where this film is going to go in terms of the direction. I think, but I say Brie Larson is still okay with this movie, but in terms of all three Marvels, their chemistry is good. I actually enjoyed the chemistry between Monica, Carol, and Kamala. So that was definitely good. I really enjoyed their chemistry for the most part, despite of what the film was given. But anyway, that is a wrap on this episode. So what did you all think of the Marvels? I would like to hear your thoughts. And for those of you who are listening and are probably wondering for those of you who are listening and if I missed out on anything, I mean, please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. And like I said, if I missed anything, please comment below if I missed out on anything from this movie. But anyway, that is a wrap on this episode. So thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.